Benjamin Sesko to Manchester United has been given the here we go treatment by Fabrizio Romano. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, welcome to another video. Today's video is going to centre around this man right here, Benjamin Sesko. This long drawn out saga has now seemingly reached its conclusion after today's big breaking news from the man in the know, Fabrizio Romano, that his move to Manchester United is pretty much done, dusted, and albeit confirmed, seemingly pending a medical, of course. Yes, the man in the know has given this situation the here we go treatment. Benjamin Sesko is going to become a Manchester United player this summer. We can finally lay this saga to rest. And Man United are now looking at a brand new front three that they're going to be going into the new season with Brian Mbeumo and Matheus Cunha already done, dusted, signed, sealed, delivered, official and confirmed. Benjamin Sesko is now following suit. We're going to be talking about this transfer story. We're going to be talking about this done deal. We're going to be talking about Sesko, Man United, and everything else in between. But before we go any further and discussing all of that and much more, I would like to remind you all to please like the video and also subscribe. If you are new, both things will always and forever be greatly appreciated. Get involved in the comments section as well. Let me know your thoughts, your comments, opinions, predictions, feelings, whatever you want to call it, on this transfer story down below in the comment section. Would love to hear what you have to say on all of that and much more. So please do get involved. And without further ado, let's go on with the conversation ourselves. Let's talk Sesko. Let's talk the deal to Man United and everything else in between. So, what we know about this Sesko situation. Benjamin Sesko has been a man in demand this past year almost. A lot of clubs have been rumoured or reportedly linked with him at some stage or another. The main ones being the likes of Arsenal, for example, but the likes of Liverpool and Chelsea and most recently Newcastle were involved. There may have been a few other links and reports of interest from elsewhere across Europe. But it did seem like he was going to be leaving RB Leipzig this summer, and it did seem like a move to the Premier League was the likely destination for the Slovenian forward. And today it has been made official that he will be moving to Manchester United. After a number of weeks of speculation, in recent days it was seemingly narrowed down to basically just Manchester United and Newcastle United. But the news of Newcastle started to die down. It seemed like Sesko had made his mind up over choosing Man United over Newcastle. Another rejection for the Magpies, may I add. And Sesko is going to be in a Manchester United shirt for next season. The big news from Romano that broke moments ago at the time of recording states this. Benjamin Sesko to Manchester United. Here we go. Agreement club to club reached with RB Leipzig for €76.5 million plus €8.5 million in add-ons. Sesko agrees terms until 2030. Sesko made clear on Tuesday that he wanted Manchester United deal now reality. New striker for Amorim. Big move this for Manchester United. Big move for Benjamin Sesko. Is he going to be able to cut it in the Premier League? Remember, this is a guy that a lot of people rate highly for his current ability. They say that he also has a lot of raw talent, raw potential, a very high ceiling. For me personally, and I'm not just saying this because he's now going to be a Man United player, I've never fully rated him that highly. I've always found him to be overrated. Now, granted, I haven't watched every game that Benjamin Sesko has played. I'm not really a religious fan of the Bundesliga like I used to be, and I'm not really a religious fan of RB Leipzig. But on the few European nights that Leipzig played, that I saw Sesko in, occasionally now and again on international duty, every so often in the Bundesliga, if I were to catch a Leipzig game, I was never really moved by him. I could see why people liked him. I could see that he's okay. He's good enough as a footballer. But I never got my head around why people rated him so highly, why people thought he was going to be like some sort of next big thing. To come out of the Bundesliga, to come out as a striker, that kind of thing. I just never found the hype with Benjamin Sesko, which is why I was sort of hoping and praying that Arsenal would get him, because that way a rival of my club, Liverpool, would get a striker who I don't necessarily rate over someone that I do rate in Victor Gyökeres. That obviously turned out to be to be in favour of the Swedish striker rather than the Slovenian striker in Arsenal's case. And I was hoping that obviously Liverpool didn't follow through. Obviously, when we were being discussed with turning our attention towards a striker target, Sesko's name was mentioned, and I was so hoping that would not materialise into anything other than just talk, and thankfully it didn't. But I think for a club like Manchester United, I think it may be different. Whenever I've talked about Sesko in the context of a Liverpool and an Arsenal, I've talked about him in the context of, is he going to turn Arsenal from contenders to winners, to champions? Is he going to turn Liverpool from a dominant team that has already won the Premier League into a team that can go on to dominate further afield in other competitions and help them retain the Premier League at the same time? And the answer to both of those questions was no. I didn't think he was a needle mover enough for Arsenal to go on to achieve their goals. I didn't think he was a needle mover for Liverpool to go on and achieve their goals. But for Man United, it might be different. And the reason why I say it might be different from Manchester United is that they're a project. They are a project right now that is looking to build. And I get that at 21 years of age, Benjamin Sesko is a player who is rough around the edges. That is understandable. He's still a very young man that is making his way into the modern day game. I also understand that he's currently playing for RB Leipzig, who are a selling club. They're not a club that keeps hold of their best players. They move their players on for big profit. They are sustainable enough that they are to post a respectable finish in the Bundesliga, but overall, they're not really someone you look to build a long-term career at. You use them as a bit of a stepping stone. And with that being said, that's why some of their teams and some of their squads over the years have obviously had their best players cherry-picked from them, so they've had to kind of scramble and make do with their decent scouting of young players to obviously build them up, give them a platform to build upon, and then obviously just reluctantly have them cherry-picked from their ranks. Sesko is another name that is now to be added to that list. Added to the list of a number of players that over the years have been cherry-picked. The forms of like Deo Upamecano, Ibrahim Konate, Naby Keita, Timo Werner, Christopher Nkunku. Probably a number of other players as well that you can name. None of those players actually did amazingly, I guess you could say, but still decent enough in certain cases. Could Benjamin Sesko follow suit? Or is he actually going to be one of these ones that actually stars and shines for years to come? Like I say, he's 21 years of age. He can still grow and evolve his game with plenty of experience under his belt. There is no doubt that he could probably elevate his game. I don't think to the levels that certain people are suggesting. I don't think he's going to be some sort of world beater, but I think he can actually do a good job for United in terms of helping them get to at least their goal of getting back into the Champions League. I feel like that could be a fairly obtainable goal for Manchester United. Maybe not in the immediate first season future, but maybe second or third season down the line, maybe they can compete to get back to where they want to be again. I still think there is some work that needs to be done at United, mainly getting a new goalkeeper in. That would be a good start. Maybe beefing up a little bit of their quality centre-back options and looking at that midfielder we discussed yesterday, the interest in Carlos Baleba. But there are still certain holes and certain things that need to be fixed at Manchester United. And of course, Ruben Amorim's going to be out to prove himself across this season as well. So there's a lot there to be proved upon. But you add Sesko to that mix of players and managers and coaches that need to prove themselves. And the project is therefore interesting. And the project can therefore work. Which is why I keep saying that Sesko may not have been great for an Arsenal or Liverpool that are in a sort of win now sort of mentality. But for a Man United that are looking to rebuild their steps, looking to get back to where they want to be, and of course you consider the fact that he's going to be joining two other players that have just joined Old Trafford and Manchester United this summer in the form of Bryan Mbeumo and Matheus Cunha in what is a very new looking Manchester United attack that is flanked with two Premier League proven players that both get between 15 and 20 goals a season. Sesko doesn't have the sort of pressure to hit the ground running instantaneously. Yes, there is pressure with obviously playing for Manchester United. There is absolutely no doubt in my mind about that. But for me, there is no need for him to go and hit the ground running by getting 20 to 25 goals a season right off the bat. Because, like I say, he'll have Mbeumo to fall back on. He'll have Cunha to fall back on. Depending on what happens with the likes of Rasmus Højlund and obviously Joshua Zirkzee, he's got them that can obviously tag in and tag out, obviously as the season wears on, provides a different kind of option for them as well. But Man United's chances, I think, have just taken a bigger step forward in terms of not just a rebuild, but in terms of obviously getting back to where they want to be, back in European football. I think no European football is really going to help United this season. The one game a week is really going to help them on the training pitch, understand Ruben Amorim's tactics a lot more. Plus, there's going to be less travelling, there's going to be less fatigue, there's going to be less game time. It's really going to be next season, I think, that if things do go the way that a lot of people are expecting it to, which is a big step forward for United this season, it's going to be really next season that you're really looking at them and going, right, now how can you evolve? How can you now push on? But they're already taking steps with that. Like I say, Benjamin Sesko, Mbeumo and Cunha, it's a very decent looking attack, I have to admit. Like, it is very, very good. I know a lot of money's been thrown at it, and I know that's where a lot of rival fans are going to banter, but a lot of us would have taken Bryan Mbeumo, and a lot of our clubs were looking at Matheus Cunha. So, them two alone, very good deals right off the bat, as I've already previously mentioned in videos that I've done about those two signings in particular. And whilst I don't rate Benjamin Sesko completely, I can at least understand as to how those three are going to interlink and entwine and work together, and it really could help United for at least the short-term future of maybe 1 or 2 years down the line. Maybe after that, when you start looking at going for titles and going for the Champions League, going for the Premier League and winning domestic cups and maybe winning multiple cups in a single season, maybe that you then start looking at, well, Sesko's good and he provides a good option for us, but maybe we need something a bit more. Maybe we need something a bit more of a killer up front. If obviously he doesn't progress to the levels that a lot of other people are suggesting he will, maybe you're looking at someone then a little different. But at least for the next 3 or 4 years or so, you'd probably say that United's front line is pretty much set. It's pretty much set in stone. You could all obviously, if a market opportunity presents itself, it presents itself. But for the next 3 or 4 years or so, United's front line is set. Now you can look at your defence. Now you can look at your goalkeeper. Now you can look at your midfield going forward. Plug in those holes, upgrading on where you can upgrade, and building and reinforcing this squad. Like I say, I think one game a week is going to really help United and really help the overall squad. And as much as I hope that this crashes and burns, as much as I really hope this crashes and burns, it's starting to look a bit more positive for United, even from the outside looking in. As much as I hate to say it and as much as I don't want to say it, it is. Like I say, it is a lot of money, but United, with the position that they're in, they are going to need to overpay. I think it was made apparent earlier this week that they actually offered him lower wages than what Newcastle did, and he still managed to turn Newcastle down for Manchester United. Sorry to rub salt into the wounds again, Newcastle fans, but you've once again been rejected by Benjamin Sesko. United have still got pull. Anybody who said that they didn't have any kind of pull left was really kidding themselves. Of course they did. Of course we knew that they did. Fair play. Fair play. Benjamin Sesko to Manchester United has been given the here we go treatment. Like I said, I don't completely rate him, but I think for the Man United project, I think he does work, and I think it is a gamble that is worth taking. I know people will say, oh, he's only scored like 13 goals or whatever in the Bundesliga. That's all he needs in a Man United shirt. That's all he needs in a Man United shirt. If Cunha and Mbeumo are chipping in with goals as well, and obviously Fernandes is in a slightly deeper role but still chipping in with goals and assists, all he needs is pretty much 13 to hit the ground running and to bed into a new league with the new physical demand that's going to prove to him, with the intensity of it, with how different it is. That's all he really will need. So I think Sesko to United fits really well. I don't know the level of how much he'll progress. I don't necessarily, like I say, rate him that highly. But like I say, I think it is a decent move for United overall, and I think it fits really well with what United have already done in this transfer window. But those are just the thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, feelings, whatever you call it, of this guy. I want to know what you guys think. What do you make of Benjamin Sesko to Manchester United? It has been given the here we go treatment by Fabrizio Romano. Let me know what you guys are saying about this transfer story down below in the comments section. I would love to hear what you have to say on all of this. Otherwise, hit the like button on the way out if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you are new and want to see more content like this. Both things will always end for it. Be greatly appreciated. And as always, thank you all so much for watching and listening. I've been Fletch. This has been another Fletch Talks video. And I will soon speak to you all again soon in another video or live stream or whatever it may be. Cheers, guys. Thanks for watching. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your day. Speak to you all again very, very soon.